All right, we're talking about what?
Surface prep.
And we're covering everything from A to Z. We have rusted steel,
Rusty chrome.
we have wood, we have aluminum, plastic, PVC plastic.
A textured plastic.
Yeah, for your interior panels and all that.
And bumpers.
And what else we got?
And a painted surface.
Are we gonna scuff that up and repaint that?
No, well, we can teach them the fundamentals of sanding
Okay.
before paint.
So stay tuned to this episode. So you know prepping plastic is the same way you prep everything else. So we have a couple different plastics. We have this, that's the drip panels from Drip. That's one of the companies that we buy all our blank and art panels. And it's a PVC material. Then we have a brand new speed shape. Then we have a painted surface that's still plastic, but we'll talk about that differently because
Get out of the way.
yeah, that's a different prep. And then even this is plastic. This is a textured plastic. They're all still in the plastic family, but you're gonna treat this a little different because this has texture. So you don't know if you're gonna keep it or if you're gonna try to delete the plastic texture. So let's start with something super simple. I'm gonna talk about this. So usually everything I like to sand with 180, but this is already pretty much really good, dude. You can go straight to, on this one, we got 320 here, 400.
I might be too fine for that.
I think so. I think 320 is good because the primer would
Fill the scratch.
fill this. So I'm gonna just grab my DA. If you guys don't know what a DA is, and in the other videos I talked about, it's a dual action sander. I can get really technical. There's different DAs with different orbits. This one's just your standard 5mm throw. Let's see here. And all I'm gonna do is just, oh, good example. I just forgot. Let's do this. This is what I did in one of my paint classes to teach the students how to get really great sanding. So here you go with a piece of pencil. Well, with a pencil. I don't know why I say
You're using a piece of it.
Yeah, I get it. So to make sure you have complete sanding, watch how the sandpaper. Oh, see, I sanded it, but I can still see the line. You want to have this completely.
Make sure you erase the line.
You erase the line. Now I know that every part of this wing is completely sanded and it's gonna give me a mechanical bite for the next step. Now, if I just go like this, lightly, I can still see a lot of the pencil. So it means some of the spots are sanded, some aren't, and you're gonna run the risk of having delamination. Delamination is when paint doesn't stick because there's no mechanical bite or a mechanical scratch. There we go.
You also want to make sure you keep the DA flat. Don't try to turn the DA on a side just to take the lead pencil mark off.
Well, if you do that,
flat.
if you start going like that, you're gonna end up digging.
Exactly.
Or if you hold it in one spot, you'll actually create a dent or a
divot. Yeah.
divot because you ended up eating all the plastic.
Make sure you keep it flat, and that's going to give you the opportunity to make sure that you leave the surface as level as possible.
All right, so you guys, you already saw the process of prepping this to get it ready for primer. So we're gonna talk about the next product.
Guys, it's just an ordinary speed shade. This is what we use to do all our samples. This is what you'll see on our website. This is what you'll see on our wall if you can come and check out our showroom in person. These are real easy to prep. Scotch-Brite pad, gray, and all you're doing is lightly going over it.
Oh, wait, but that's maroon though.
Yeah, that's maroon. That's what I meant.
Oh,
I just want to make sure you're paying attention. Maroon or gray, this stuff is not super aggressive. All you're going to do is you want a uniform, dull finish. So this is kind of part. You can see the sheen difference. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. If you can see the sheen difference from the front to the back, all you're doing is killing that sheen and making it completely flat.
you know what's the grid of maroon Scotch-Brite or no?
No, I don't, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
No, I don't know. I have to Google it. I'm not 3 feet. Yeah, I think a maroon Scotch-Brite.
Look at you.
I think it's like a 300, 400 grit.
So basically, this is a completely smooth finish. They're nice, easy. We don't recommend you do this type of prep when it's a major project. But if it's for something that all you're gonna do is test the color, test the finish, so you guys can see what the outcome is gonna be, this is what we recommend you buy from our website to do color samples. You're not sure, you're in between 2 or 3 colors. We get a lot of calls. Hey, I like the seductive, I like the luscious. We recommend you buy some speed shapes. They're on our website. This is the way you prep them to make sure that it gives you the finish as if it was the car or the bike or whatever it is that your project is. This is very similar of the material to those Lexan bodies. The prep is extremely similar. So if you have an RC car, you're gonna do a Lexan body. This is gonna be your best friend. The waxing grease remover is gonna be your best friend.
Adhesion promoter.
Adhesion promoter is gonna be your very best friend.
The Hornet is one of the biggest things. This thing sticks, makes paint stick to anything. Doesn't matter if it's plastic, chrome, aluminum, polished aluminum. This is what you want. So the guys that want to do candy over chrome, this is what you really want to use. This stuff makes everything bridge together and stick.
So once you have an even finish, and you don't want to be super aggressive, you just want to take the sheen off.
You want that uniform.
It has no shine. You want all the scratches, if it's possible, to go in one direction. It's going to be easier for you. This type of plastic, and we'll talk about it in another plastic, the textured stuff. A lot of this stuff has like mold release agents, so you have to clean them well. You can do the scuffing process with soap and water if you want it to be easier. You don't want it to be dusty, but we still recommend that you use waxing grease remover before you prime it, as well as the
before you start sanding this, you guys didn't see, we already had this pre-washed.
Yeah.
But before you start sanding, you want to have that washed. Let's say if you don't have access to a waxing grease remover, you can use a Dawn soap. But we here in the automotive auto body space, we use a waxing grease remover. It's a really strong solvent that really cleans everything up. Once that dries, then you can start sanding, because if you start rubbing this onto that waxy surface, all you're gonna do is just push all that wax and it's
not allowing you to sand, dude.
Exactly, into the plastic, and you're gonna have a lot of issues with the paint getting fisheye, and you're gonna just run into a lot of issues with the paint in general. So Javi just showed you this is already ready to go. Now, I wanted to touch real quick. This comes in maroon. That's a more aggressive scratch, and then you have a gray. We are not using the gray because the gray is more for clear coat. Like if we had, what's that painted? The speed shape. Give me that painted speed shape, please. Thank you so much, Ranjo. So the gray would have been perfect because it's the finer grit. And if we were gonna say gray is like the equivalence of 800 to 1,000, this is equivalent to that 320. Now this is ready to go. So the next steps on this is gonna be to spray it with obviously a waxing grease remover, clean it really good, make sure it dries, blow it off, and then spray adhesion promoter and go into primer. So there's 2 ways. This is textured plastic. Obviously, you can see on one side it's completely smooth. The other side, this is gonna mimic the texture of, I remember doing these growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s for the cars. Guys wanted to remove the textured plastic on their cars and make them smooth.
So there's your panels.
Yeah.
This also mimics plastic trim, bumpers, stuff like that. Same trim style, same grain.
So there's 2 ways to go by this, obviously. You have an option to delete it or to keep it. In this case, we're just gonna talk about prepping this and not going through the whole deletion, because that's a whole video about customizing things like that.
The deleting will tell you how we do it, but we'll teach you the basic prep. And then the deleting is just nothing but building up primers.
Correct. So for this, I'm gonna grab the DA, and in this video, we're gonna just talk about, we're just gonna get this ready for paint, for primer, I'm sorry.
Guys, this is something, while Manny gets his DA ready, the DA is gonna knock out all the stuff on top. Since this is grainy, after the DA, then you're gonna use the Scotch-Brite to get into all the little nooks and crannies.
Yeah, and I'm gonna show you, what do you think, 180? You think that's too aggressive?
It might be a little too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with,
You don't want to rip up the plastic.
no, 320. I don't have in between here.
No, 320 is good.
Oh, you got
400 here.
Nah, yeah. Let's go 320. Throw this away, that's already worn out.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, perfect. I really didn't want to go all the way down. So one of the things I wanted to show you guys, let me clean it up. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick it up. I can see it here. I did not sand here. I sanded here. All the high spots are dull, and all the low spots are the ones that are still shiny. So I'm gonna come now with the maroon Scotch pad. I'm gonna do a little section here. You have to go in a couple different directions, or them general directions, and try to get it. Let's see if we can pick that up on camera.
Guys, the way you prep this, the way we just prepped the small speed shape is the same way you prep. Like if you buy a brand new bumper for your car, same way. Wash it really good, sand it with a Scotch-Brite pad, go through the same exact process. Adhesion promoter, after it's cleaned and sanded, and then your primer.
All right, you guys see here, I'm gonna wipe it off on this edge. It's really hard to tell. Well, I can see it up close. You're gonna still have some shiny spots down in the bottom. And this is where the adhesion promoter is really gonna come into play, because what happens is no matter as much as you try to re-sand, there's spots you're not gonna get in there mechanically. So this adhesion promoter is gonna come in, filling these little spots in a way, create a chemical bond. And then that's the glue to make sure when you start spraying your primer and your color and everything, you're not gonna have any delamination. You're not gonna have any paint failure peeling up from that surface. So this is the same thing. This, if we want to do this, we're gonna sand this whole product all the way down and just show it. Oh. You want to talk about the filling plastic?
I actually didn't want to, but yeah, sure, I'll go ahead. Guys, if this is the surface that you're going to be prepping, after you scuff it, as Manny's doing a lovely job doing, after you clean it, your wax and grease remover, your soap and water, once you're ready to start spraying, you spray your adhesion promoter. The instructions are on the can. We'll still teach you how to spray it in a few minutes. You're going to spray your epoxy primer, 2 coats of that, to allow for proper adhesion. Once you let that sit for the required time, you're gonna come back, you're gonna sand it with let's say like a 320 grit sandpaper. And this process is to start removing the texture to give it that smooth finish. And from there, you can go with 2 to 3 coats of a good 2K primer. We have a Tropical Glitz filler primer in a spray can. That will work for a smaller project, but for the larger projects, we would prefer that you buy a good 2K product that's catalyzed, it builds up better, and it shrinks a little less. Keep in mind that all 2K primers do shrink a little bit. So we do recommend that once you do it, you sand it. If you're building up something like this, you're 2, 3, 4 coats into primer, that you wait a couple of weeks before you come and sand it, because it is gonna tend to shrink a little bit. But that'll give you enough material for you to sand it smooth, and the primer will fill up all these little scratches. So you should get to the point where it's smooth and all one color, as far as like you don't see the breakthrough of the texture.
Yeah, because if you sit here and you try to sand all these low spots down, you'll never finish. Or if it's the plastics of an old car,
You'll end up tearing up the plastic and it'll be more of a mission.
yeah, you're better off using the 2K to help you fill all these spots. And then once it shrinks down, like if you use the Tropical Glitz,
The foundation primer, the
hybrid foundation primer. I had a brain fart. You use that, let it shrink, and then you come back with a DA and start knocking all that down. You're gonna end up having a nice uniform surface like this, and then now you can go and do whatever you want with your plastics, paint them, or wrap them in vinyl. I mean, whatever the case is, everybody does it differently.
If you have, just real quick, if you have old plastic bumpers, old trim, same as interior pieces, you want to keep that green, get it to this point that Manny just got it, spray your adhesion promoter, and then go in with either your plastic dyes or your trim black paint, any of that, over that adhesion promoter. And then you're good to go. It renews the plastic and you're done. And then later we'll talk about actually applying the primer on this.
All right, cool. So this one is a interesting product. So this is aluminum. What it is? They call this aluminum, but it's called something else.
We'll just call it aluminum.
Nah, but I get it. But
Because what we're prepping is the
the aluminum, yeah, it's what's the name of this stuff? Urban?
It doesn't matter. It's just aluminum board. The aluminum board on the outside.
All right.
We're not prepping the middle. We're just prepping.
I know. So we have aluminum here sandwiched with plastic in the middle, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, we're gonna just prep it. It usually comes with a protective film. We already peeled off the protective film on this side. Same thing, has a little bit of a texture, nothing crazy. 320 is gonna be the same grit sandpaper. We don't need anything really aggressive. If I start sanding this with 180, I'm just gonna end up creating a lot more work for myself, and it's gonna create a headache, and then it's gonna be more work to try to remove those 180 grit scratches. So 320, it's a tighter scratch and it's gonna be a lot better. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna prep this. Real quick, wanted to show you guys, look how there's already a texture. This aluminum has a, what do you say, like a wood grain texture in a way, kind of?
Yeah.
So you can, don't know if you guys can see it there, but you can see I'm knocking down already the high spots down here, and this is already getting smooth, and here are some of the high spots that haven't been yet touched with the aeso. And that's
The reason why you don't want to go over it with something more aggressive than the 320 is because if you see the 320 is already flattening the texture. If you go with something more aggressive, what you end up doing is eating and ripping up the aluminum. And like Manny said, you'll create more work for yourself.
all right, perfect. So what you see here is actual aluminum already sanded down. And if you wanted to go crazy and polish it, but we're not doing that in this. But we already sanded everything down. Let's wipe it down and show you guys what we have. We still have, same thing, low spots, high spots, but the majority of this surface is sanded. Now I'm gonna come with the maroon Scotch pad, and I'm gonna show you real quick. I want you to notice, look at this corner. You see all this shininess in this corner here? Here, I'm gonna do this little section here. I'm going with the grain and see how much we can get in there. Not putting a lot of pressure, I'm just medium pressure. Because same thing when you're sanding primer, if you put a lot of pressure, you're gonna end up going right through your material and creating a dent. It's funny, it's almost polished.
Yeah, it is.
You see the polish, you gave it like a whole complete different look for it. So it's funny because they sanded the low spots in there, but it also started to create a polish on the high spots. And now the high spots have a reflective surface to it. But it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, this still has that nice finish.
No, it has the bite still.
It still has the bite. So on something like this, same thing. We'll clean it with wax grease remover, spray adhesion promoter because of all the low spots onto it. Plus, remember, aluminum is a soft metal. You still, yeah. Well, if it's highly polished, it's gonna have no pores. But in this case, it has much. But this is something you always want to incorporate some type of adhesion promoter because you're gonna always run into issues when it comes to something like this. So on this, we're gonna end up cleaning it up, spraying our adhesion promoter, letting that sit for 5 minutes, and going straight into your primer, your epoxy primer. Now, if you have direct to metal primer, there's a lot of epoxy primers that we offer on our website. We have the SPI epoxy primer. We have our 1K epoxy primer in a spray can, and we have some 2Ks also that we offer. That's direct to metal. But the adhesion promoter plays such a crucial part because this is when you start running into issues of having, you run the risk of having paint fail. So you want to take that extra step. And that's something where we always like to take because you just never know on these low spots. I understand that direct to metal primer can fall in there, but for my own peace of mind, I'd rather spray the adhesion promoter.
It's an insurance. We think of your adhesion promoter like an insurance policy.
Yeah. So what's the next one we got? All right, so we have here a piece of wood. I believe this is birch, but everything is different. So you have MDF, that's one of the worst woods to primer, just because MDF constantly, after you spray primer, it keeps on sucking and sucking. But it really,
That reminds me of some.
it really sucks.
Yeah, it does.
So in this case, we're gonna end up doing. So if you notice on all the other projects, in all the other products that we prepped, we started with 320. With wood, you actually start with something more aggressive. We're gonna start with 180. Put this here. Wood has a grain to it. You want to make sure you get it all flat. All right. Smells like
I was like cabinet shopping.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So I got that sanded with 180.
Guys, keep in mind when you're working with a wood surface, wood naturally tends to want to really soak in whatever product you're spraying. Make sure you use a premium product.
So on this, because we're gonna go with primer, like automotive grade primer, I won't even sand this anymore. No, 180, and then I go straight into primer. Because if you're gonna say, well, Manny, I want to varnish or put fancy clear or whatever, that's not usually what we don't do here. But let's say if you wanted to varnish this, then that's when you finish this with a finer grit sandpaper. But in this case, we don't want to do that. We want enough of a mechanical bite, so when we spray the primer on this, the wood is gonna pull it in, suck it in. We want the grain. Yeah, and then we want that primer to soak in, let the primer dry for a little bit, and then we'll come back and sand that primer with the 320. And then that's gonna actually knock all that wood grain down, and now we have a real nice smooth surface for us to actually shoot, let's say, an automotive color on this. Now, if you're like, well, I want, wood finish, whatever, that's different. That you would leave this in 300, 400 grit sanded, and then you just come with like a clear, well, you stain it, right? People usually stain this.
Yeah, you can stain it and then clear after.
And then they'll brush on or spray a lacquer or a polyurethane, but one of those water-based.
You can spray you can varnish it and spray like an SPI primer.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that the primer will settle in a little bit. Let it 3 coats maybe.
Yeah.
Let it dry up. Come back with a DA, knock it down with like 400, 600 grit. Then apply 2-3 more coats, and as you apply, let a couple coats, let it dry, sand, you'll start building up a nice, beautiful mirror finish on it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, so I ended up grabbing a piece of 800 grit sandpaper just to show you guys what 800 grit sandpaper.
Keep in mind, guys, this is just a cured automotive clear coat. This is our SPI Euro. That's been cured for a while.
So we're gonna knock down, and then usually when you're sanding with a finer grit sandpaper, since it's tighter, it does have the tendency to clog up a little bit more than something more coarse because the grits of sand are a lot tighter.
Guys, while he's doing that, I'll just go ahead and say you should wear masks. We're just doing small projects that feed you guys, but you guys are doing big projects.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you protect yourself. None of this is healthy to be breathing.
No, not at all, bro. Not at all. So let me sand this real quick on top and see if I can just get in this little groove here for them.
You remember our largest allergen.
It's our skin.
Yeah, well, I used a hand in one of the videos, that's why.
That's your largest organ. Oh my God, bro. That's why I do all the sanding, guys, because if Javi did it, you would just see his wrist.
You don't see a speed shape.
Listen. It's all fun and games. All right, so this is to show you on the video. Here I have a really nice uniform scratch. Here you can start seeing the texture that I was knocking down. Here you can still see I didn't get that area there. And you can start seeing a little low spots and high spots there. So we don't have the maroon. I mean, we don't have the gray one in the warehouse. But
Ooh, it's probably somewhere.
so I'm just gonna show you just to show you what's the benefit. You see, if this was a gray maroon, a gray Scotch pad, you come in. Sand and all those spots that you had previously that you couldn't get, now it's gone. This is something where you don't want to break through the clear, but you want to just have enough to take off any of the imperfections on the top of the surface and then shoot a new coat of clear on it, because it's a beautiful color, but if I break down through with this, then I have to respray it all over again, and this is a candy. And not every project needs to have all that extra work. So it's all about pressure control and knowing what sandpaper to work with, because you can try to do something too aggressive. I mean aggressive, like you might say, well, you know, I don't want to be here for 30 minutes. Let me grab a 400. Boom, the moment you touch it, you just went through it.
This isn't something that you can rush. It takes an extra 5 minutes to do a job right. Take the extra 5 minutes. An extra 5 minutes of prep, an extra 5 minutes of sanding will save you hours and hours of fixing a potential problem.
Yeah, look, one thing I want to show them. Now I'm just sanding lightly. Look at all that cellulite.
Yeah.
But if I keep on sanding this, and look how I don't, this is a little surface. When you're doing a car, you actually want to have a block. But on something small, I sand like this. I'm not sanding like this because then I'm going to create grooves. I'm sanding like this. And light pressure, I'm letting the sandpaper do its job. And I'm going to come, wipe it off, and look how it's getting flatter and flatter. So by the time I'm done, when I spray a new coat of clear on this thing is going to be really smooth. The clear is going to have no friction, and it's going to flow out real nice, and it's just going to look like it's dripped in honey. That's the best example I can give you.
I've never seen completely transparent honey before.
No, but you don't drip with like,
Sure.
it's so little.
Guys, if we were going to be bored here doing this video for you, we wouldn't do it, you know? If we're not having a good time, look at Manny's smile. Look how much a good time he's having.
All right, so I just covered wood and I just covered a painted surface. Now let's go to the next thing, chrome. I got it right here. Let me put this here so I don't step on it. All right. I'll get in trouble if I don't do this. All right, so let's see who can guess what this is. What is it?
That is the end of a bumper for a 68 Caprice.
How do you not know it's a 67?
Because I just know.
Because it's my 68. All right, so this is gonna get re-chromed, but I'm gonna show you real quick. I'm gonna spray a little bit of waxing grease remover.
Guys, a lot of people call us for prepping chrome. Prepping chrome is not necessarily recommended. If you're gonna paint something that's chrome, we recommend that you go to your local chrome shop and you have the chrome stripped. But not everybody has access to a local chrome shop. Not everybody wants to spend the money. So we're gonna teach you a way that we've learned how to do it over the years that saves you a little bit of that.
Or how about the people that want to just delete the chrome on their cars and the new trucks? That's that chrome plastic. So that chrome plastic is the same thing. It's plastic, but they chrome it with like a heavy metal,
Like an electroplate.
yeah. So over the years, I've deleted bumpers, chrome bumpers on the Rams and stuff like that. So this is something you start with something aggressive, 180. So I'm gonna show you real quick. You want to get a nice scratch. You're never gonna take off the chrome, but you want that nice mechanical scratch, and you want to have this. And I'm gonna show you. Take it all the way down, so it's almost like a dull aluminum.
Guys, I'll wait for him to finish.
And get ready. You're gonna go through a lot of sandpaper. All right.
Manny loves education so much that he's sacrificing his own car parts for these videos.
Yeah, well, I wanted to rechrome this stuff. So this is all original chrome on my 68 Caprice. I'm sure you guys have followed along.
And if you haven't, make sure you go on our YouTube, like and subscribe, and follow that process.
Can you guys tell there in that video? Yeah. And this is still dirty because this has just overspray from sitting around. Let me see if I can cane up some of that overspray. Yeah, I cleaned up most of the overspray. Let me spray some more here. Perfect. Let's wipe that off. All right, cool. Here's your chrome that's not sanded. And this is not really going to do anything for you, bro. This is not going to really scratch up the chrome. Like, yeah, it will ruin your chrome, but it won't get it like this. Adhesion promoter is your best friend in this project, without a doubt, because I can sand this all you want, and I can still see there's still a lot of shininess in here. The only thing that's really going to help paint stick to this is going to be adhesion promoter. So on this project, I'm going to end up sanding this and sanding this and sanding this. It's going to get to a point that this is as good as it's going to get. I'm not going to get something really flat unless I start getting really aggressive and sitting there. The only people that do that are chromers. When you go to a chrome shop, they'll sand this and sand this and sand this because it's going to go through a copper bath, the whole.
Well, it'll get acid dipped and sandblasted.
Yeah, and then they're working with the metal. The chrome is a lot tougher. So for this, you're going to end up sanding it like this, spraying adhesion promoter, and then going straight into your primer and then your color. And then that's how you end up deleting your chrome on any project. Doesn't matter if it's a new pickup truck or an old car. I prefer chrome on my old cars, but there's some great hot rods that delete the chrome. For sure. And it looks fantastic. So this is how you get your chrome ready and prep. All right, so this one's a lot easier. Steel. This is a great...
Guys, this is a very important lesson. If you are trying to restore a car, paint a bicycle, this is going to be the basis for almost everything that you prep automotive-wise.
Yeah.
Piece of steel.
And it's crazy. This is, if you saw my other video, me deleting the door handles and deleting everything on the Caprice, this is the sheet metal we used. The same thing. This one, you're going to start off 180. I'm going to grab a new piece because the last piece, the 180 is just snowing in here. Oh, shoot. It's all worn out from the chrome. The chrome really does eat up the sandpaper. I made a mess. Jesus. All right, cool.
That's why it's important to wear a mask, guys.
Whoa, it landed on my... and don't wear black clothes. So here is steel. This is just regular mild steel, 16 gauge. Here's some surface rust. Here's some pinstriping that I practiced. Nothing big. You want this to be shiny. All right.
Guys, prepping steel is something that every painter has their own way of doing it. Every painter has their opinion. So if you start watching YouTube videos, how to prep certain steel pieces, you're going to get a lot of different answers.
Well, this is going to be a general over the top because...
So what I was going to say real quick, we're going to recommend to prep it the way we prep it according to our environment. We have a lot of humidity down here in South Florida. We need to do certain processes like epoxies.
Oh, yeah.
Surface. Like there's a lot of sheet metal guys that don't do epoxy. There are in other states that are dry climate. We're going to teach you guys what we use
Let me show you
according to our climate.
So this is 180 grit scratches right on. Now, we have a high humidity here in South Florida. It's usually 80% all year round. So on something like this, I'm not gonna go into like great detail, but let's say I was working on this for a car for my own personal project and I have this type of rust. Before I do anything else, I'll spray OSPO. Just wipe it down with OSPO just to neutralize whatever I didn't catch. Now, I'm not gonna go into that whole, because that's a whole video and a whole process, but I wanted to mention it. So when guys are like, hey, you know, you just sanded off the rust. Yeah, it's surface rust, not a big deal. It's pretty much a new sheet metal, so I ended up taking it off, but I always take that extra step. So in this case, we're gonna end up sanding this with 180, nice and clean. And then now I'll hit it with wax and grease remover and then go straight into an epoxy primer. There's no need for an adhesion promoter for something like this. You want an epoxy primer directly onto the surface. And that's gonna lock all that down. And then from there, you can start building up and doing everything else you need when it comes to color, clear, whatever you want. But these are the steps that you have to take when it comes to sheet metal like this. If you leave this like this in this weather, within a couple hours, this will start developing surface rust again.
Minutes.
Yeah. Cool. So guys, we covered a little bit of everything. We covered our chrome, we covered aluminum, textured plastic, PVC, wood, steel. I mean, what did we not cover in this video?
I think we got it all.
Yeah. Well, we didn't do, well, eventually we'll do a video just of RC bodies because we have a lot of questions. And
Yeah, the non-gen and speed shape is very similar in prep.
yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, if you're buying stuff from us, you have a technical question, you can always email us. Our email is support@tropicalglitz.net. Ask us whatever you need to ask us. Call us. We try to help as much as we can with whatever projects you have.
Yeah.
Guys, till now, we've taught you how to do all the preparation. Now we're gonna go into all our adhesion promoters, all our primers. We're gonna teach you how to mix our cans. We're gonna do everything in an aerosol can. For now, we'll go into a little bit of the specs of the epoxies as far as guns and the primers and stuff like that for us mixing. But we're gonna teach you the aerosol stuff with everything that we've prepped, from the wood to the plastic to the textured PVC, or the textured plastic, the PVC, the steel, and the chrome.